I must be a horrible parent. I have no idea what to do with my child. Sometimes it seems like they're possessed by demons. They don't listen. They yell at me. They kick, scream, tantrum. I don't know what to do, and I feel like I'm failing them. Where do I even begin with a strong-willed child? If this has ever sounded like you as a parent, keep watching because I have all kinds of hacks for dealing with strong-willed children. Hey guys, Sarah here from Work Life Glue, and today I'm going to be starting a new series about strong-willed children. We used to do 7-minute Sundays on Sundays. Now we are going to switch to doing series Sundays where every month or so we will be talking about a new topic, and this month's topic is strong-willed children. I don't know about you guys, but I love being a mom, but sometimes I feel like I have no clue what I'm doing. And as a childcare provider, that has helped me a lot on knowing how to deal with strong-willed children. Now, I want to say, I am no expert at this. Sometimes I'm like, what am I doing wrong? But in the end, I know the more I practice these things, the better it will be in the long term, and that these things are phases. Kids go through phases. Will they ever be little tiny angels that are perfect? No, they're human. But the more consistent you are, the better. And I have all kinds of hacks that have worked really well with my own daughter and daycare kids who are on the more strong-willed side. So that's what I'm talking about today, and I just hope this video can help you out in some way if you are in the throes of, you know, preschoolhood, toddlerhood, early elementary, and you have a strong-willed child who you know will be a great leader one day, who will be an amazing person if you don't die in the process. So for us personally, we have 2 daughters. One is 3, one is 7 months old, and obviously the 7-month-old right now is not strong-willed, but our oldest, we knew around 6-month-old that we were in for it. She was, you know, the second she could have an opinion, she did, and it came on strong. We joke that it's because she's half redhead, and it's karma, because she's a little mini-me, so I don't totally blame her, but it can be really difficult. Now, when I'm talking about a strong-willed child, what am I talking about? Well, most kids, little kids, go through periods of having tantrums and not being able to express their emotions. But when I'm talking about a strong-willed child, I'm talking about a child that, you know, craves control. They want to be in charge. They don't want help. They want to do everything themselves, even more so than a normal, not normal, but than your average, you know, toddler, preschooler. And they crave power. And this is not necessarily a negative thing, but they feel like they want to be an adult, but they're not ready yet, and they will go to any length to have power and control over their life. And they also crave independence, even though we all know they're not really ready for complete independence, but they think they are, and they're willing to go to extreme lengths to get it. Now, before I get into this video, I feel like I'm gonna get some people saying, spank your child, that's what's wrong with people these days, they don't parent. However, I've thought about this so much, I will be the first one to admit I have spanked my daughter before. It didn't work, and it was awful, and you know, I think in some situations, if that's for you, great, but I don't want to have to spank my kid every second of every day. And when they are power hungry and strong-willed, sometimes the more you spank or do things in a physical way that don't really fit with what they did, the more likely you are to butt heads and have more power struggles. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be beating my child. I don't think that's okay. So this video is not to talk about spanking. It's to talk about other things you can do that are still just as much strong parenting, that are not passive, that are not just permissive parenting. They are tactics that work and ways to get around power struggles and avoid them in the first place, and give kids tools that will actually help them later on instead of, you know, just spanking them whenever they do something wrong. It's actually giving them tools to use in the future. So let's get into the hacks. One of the first awesome hacks that we use all the time are visual routines. It's one thing to just have a regular routine, but if you could have a visual routine where it's on the wall, on a clipboard, somewhere where your kids can see it, and it gives them ownership of knowing what goes next, and you don't even have to tell them. We just say, look at the chart, and they can follow it. This works great for morning routines, nighttime routines, meal times, getting out the door, you know, all kinds of things that require a routine. If you have it up visually, and all you have to say to the child is, what comes next? You don't have to say, get your shoes on, it's time to go, and then have them rebel and want control, and so they're gonna say no or be silly about it. Instead, you just say, what's next? What's next on your chart? And it's not you telling them, it's them having ownership over doing it. I'm gonna do a whole video coming up soon on morning and bedtime routines and how we use visual routines in this way, and it's done wonders for our strong-willed child. And but just think of things you could do if you're struggling in a certain routine you have. Put up visual routines. Make sure it's pictures, because little kids can't usually read depending on the age of your child, so pictures really help. And another tip I have is to give choices. So a lot of these hacks can work together, but if you give your child choices of things that you don't really care which one they pick, but they need to pick one, they feel like they have ownership over it, and you can also use it in conjunction with the visual routine. So for example, when my daughter is waking up, she's a little crabby, and so sometimes she doesn't want to do the stuff on her morning routine, which is go potty, brush your teeth, get dressed. Those are her things she has to do in the morning before she can have a little bit of time on her Kindle. She has to earn that. So instead of being like, your chart says to do this, I say, which one of those things do you want to do first? So she has a choice. She knows she has to do all three of those, but I let her choose which one she wants to do first, so that way she feels like she has the power and the control, and we're not butting heads, and it's beautiful. It's wonderful. So give choices and do visual routines. Also, another thing that works wonders with all kids, but especially strong-willed children, is to use timers. It doesn't matter if it's on your phone, you use your Echo, your kitchen stove, or an actual timer, or have some kind of like visual thing, which could work well too, but give them timers. So if your kid wants to do something, but they need to do their reading first, or you know, you're not ready to leave the house and they keep asking, when are we gonna leave? When are we gonna leave? Set a timer and tell them 10 more minutes. When the timer goes off, then it's your turn to do this, or then we're gonna leave, or then you could be done eating if they refuse to eat, or whatever it is. Use timers. And then also another hack is to give reminders. So when they're getting close to the end of their time, say 2 minutes left or 1 minute left, not very much time left. I don't know about your child, but my child does so well when she has reminders, especially when it comes to like ending something she really loves to do, like Kindle time or reading before bed, that kind of thing. If I say, one more book, that's gonna be our last book. If she has a heads up, she doesn't feel blindsided, and she doesn't feel this urge to like win a battle. She's just like, oh, okay, this is our last one, I'm prepared for it, and then we can move on, and it's amazing. Another hack is easier said than done, is to just let go of some of the control. I know personally a lot of our power struggles come from me feeling that as a parent I should be able to tell my child to do whatever it is I want them to do, and they will just automatically do it. And maybe that works for some children, but some children crave power and control. And my daughter is just like me, so she also has this urge of like, I want to do what I want to do, and you're gonna listen. Except, you know, for a kid that shouldn't really be that way. But she doesn't know that. She doesn't understand yet. So I try to just let some things go. I figure out the things that are absolutely a must: being kind, being respectful. You know, when it comes to mealtime, she has to do certain things. When it comes to bedtime, she has to do certain things. And then beyond that, I need to let go of some of the control. So if she wants to crawl to the toilet, I just gotta let it go. If she wants to spend a little extra time washing her hands, or do a little bit of playing with her food within reason where it's not getting out of hand, I just have to let it go. Because if I micromanage everything she does, we are gonna have power struggles all day. So let your kids have some control. Let go of the things that don't really matter, and just make sure you stick with the rules that do, because they will be way more likely to follow them if they have some control and power over their life and can do things in their own way within reason. Another great thing for strong-willed children is to allow them to be involved. They want to feel significant. They want to feel like they're an important part of your family. So get child-safe knives and let them help cut up dinner. Let them help grab a burp cloth for their baby sister or brother. Let them help put laundry away, even if they don't do a very good job. Just let them help and encourage them. Tell them how appreciative you are of that and how helpful they are and how much it makes your job easier as a parent when they're helpful. These little areas of building them up will lead to them not feeling like they have to have power in other areas because you're giving them responsibility and significance. Another key thing for strong-willed children is to plan in advance. You know your child better than anyone. You know what will trigger things. You may not know every instance, but if you know they're really cranky when they wake up and they need to eat right away, instead of making them do their morning routine before they eat and having a power struggle every single morning, get them their food, give it to them in bed, do whatever you gotta do. Carry them down to the kitchen, have them sit at the table and eat before you require anything else. Just try to make your life a little bit easier by knowing the things that will trigger them and having them ready in advance, or plan a routine accordingly to fit with your child. There's no one size fits all with parenting. It's okay to be flexible. It's okay to adapt things to work for your specific child's needs and wants. And it's not catering to them. It's just making life easier and setting things up for success in the forefront instead of reacting to things and having these power struggles. Another example of this is if you know when grandma comes to pick up, they're gonna be so excited and wound up that they're gonna take forever and maybe have a tantrum or throw a fit, or, you know, just be really silly and not wanna get their stuff on because they're showing off. Well, before grandma comes, get them ready, get them in their shoes, get them in their coat, get their everything packed and ready, and then as soon as the grandma comes, pass them off out the door. Just make your life easier on the forefront so you don't have to deal with the negativity on the after part. Another awesome thing we've been implementing are when then statements. So, and it's not if then, it's when then. So if you want your child to clean up their room and they want to go eat supper and they don't want to clean up their room, just say, when you clean up your room, then you can have supper and walk away. Put it on their plate. Don't deal with it. They have to clean up their room. If they kick and scream, throw a fit, that's fine. That's on them. You go start eating supper. It may take a little bit of time, but these when then are so powerful. Just make sure that then is something they actually want to do. So for our daughter, that's why we do Kindle time in the morning. Plus it allows me some time to help nurse my baby. And I know my older daughter is cranky in the morning, so it's just a time for her to kind of like ease into the day. But she has to do her morning routine first. So when you brush your teeth, go potty, get dressed, then you can have Kindle time. And if she's gonna throw a fit about it, I say, okay, well, you just let me know when you're ready and you've done those things and I will walk away. You know, it doesn't mean there's not gonna be any challenges, but it's putting the ownership on them. And the more you do this, the more they're not gonna put up a fight because they know you're serious and they know they just have to do those things, then they can have the thing they want. Another thing is to make things fun. We all know that kids like to play, they like to have fun. And I don't think this hack works in every single situation, but if you're in a good mood and there's an opportunity, try to make things fun. Make picking up toys fun. Make cleaning fun. Make getting ready fun. Make it a race. Put a timer on. I say, I'm gonna time you, see how fast you can get your shoes on. Or you can get your shoes on like a kangaroo and bounce over. Like things like that they love. Now I think it's a little over the top to do this all the time because I don't think everything in life is fun and kids just need to learn to just do things sometimes. But try to incorporate it in when you're in a good mood and the opportunity arises because kids really love this. It's a bonding moment and they're more likely to do these things if they can have fun while they're doing it. Another hack is to just walk away. If they're getting out of control, if they aren't being respectful, walk away. It is very hard to do, especially if you're like me and you're like, oh, I want to say something, but that's just going to make it worse. So if my daughter's having a moment and she can't be respectful to me, I say, okay, you let me know when you're ready to be nice, and I walk away. The more you do this, the more they'll see that mama isn't playing, and they are more likely to see that when you walk away, the power is gone and nobody has power and they're just screaming, and it's not very fun to just scream at yourself. So they're more likely to calm down quicker. And then going off of like the love and logic thing, natural consequences can be awesome. We use them a lot at our house, and then you don't have to feel like the bad guy because it's not really you being a bad guy. So for example, my daughter never wants to wear a coat, and I could try my hardest to get that coat on her despite her kicking and screaming, and zip it up only to have her to unzip it, and then get into this huge power struggle, end up spanking her, and then the issue is still there and it's not even solved. She still doesn't have her coat on. I could do that. It's not gonna be fun. Or I could just say, okay, well, we'll bring it along and you have to hold it. It can be embarrassing in stores if your kid won't put their coat on, but all I say is, okay, well, it's cold, but you let me know when you're ready to put it on. And chances are we get outside, oh, I'm cold, put it on, then they get it on. They want it to be their choice, and it's not that big of a deal, and they're not gonna freeze, and it's not gonna be the end of the world. So things like that, natural consequences. Then I'm not the bad guy, I'm not having this huge power struggle. She ends up putting her coat on because it's cold, and the one thing with this though is you have to try to avoid the I told you so. I told you it was cold out. Why didn't you put your coat on? Why didn't you listen to me? Because then they don't have the ownership anymore. Just let them learn it on their own. They're more likely to be like, okay, I was really cold last time. I should put it on, instead of, oh, mom yelled at me and she was right and I was wrong. No, just let them figure it out on their own. Then they're more likely to do it in the future. Another great one is visual cues. So we talked about visual routines. Visual cues is a little bit different. So for example, if your kid sometimes comes up and has a bad attitude, they don't say please, they don't say thank you, you can come up with a cue, a visual sign of something to have them try that again. I did this positive parenting solutions course, which I'm going to do a whole review on. I'm not quite done with it yet, but this is pulled straight from there. So there's a redo sign. So like have them redo what they just did. So if you teach your child that when you're disrespectful to me, I'm not going to do what you asked or demanded, and I'm not going to talk to you about it. I'm just going to do this sign to have you try that again. So if your kid comes up and says, give me cookies, I will do this sign. I won't say that was rude, try that again, you don't talk to your mom that way, because what good does that do? They don't really care about what you're saying, they just want their cookies. So I just do the sign and they say, may I please have a cookie? And then you can decide if you're actually going to give it to them, but that's beside the point. But give visual cues. This allows you to not have to say anything, which is really easy. In public, nobody else knows what's going on, so it makes your kid look really good, like, oh wow, they corrected themselves. And it's just helping them think about what they're doing, and you don't have to say anything. So it's putting the ownership back on them again and allowing them to come up with the solution. So, you know, if they come up to you whining, you can do the redo sign and they know I need to say it in a better way, but I didn't have to say anything. So it's awesome. You can also do signs for having them help remember to say please or thank you at somebody's house. You know, if they have like naughty words they say or potty talk, you could have a sign for that so they remember like those aren't words we use. And then you don't have to say anything. There's no power struggle because you're just doing a sign and they know what they need to do. And lastly, I think a thing that can work really, really well, I'm gonna talk about more in my morning and bedtime routines video, but something like this, a bedtime pass. I Googled this when I was having issues with our daughter at bedtime, and this has worked wonders. So how this particular one works for us is our daughter likes to come out of her room at night. She does not like to stay in bed. Putting her back in bed over and over wasn't working. It just wasn't working. She wanted power, so this gives her power. It gives her enough power that we're okay with, and it gives her enough power that she's okay with because she stays in bed after she uses it. So basically this pass, after we put her to bed, she can come out one time and she gives us this pass, and she can have another kiss, song, whatever it is, something short, and then we take it and she can't come out anymore. Now, she can come out in the middle of the night if she's scared or whatever. She knows that. But it really helped with the coming out, going back in, coming out, going back in, over and over and over. And then if she does come back out, we just say, oh, I don't see the pass. You've used it already. Good night, sweet dreams. And she quickly learns that this is golden, and if she doesn't have it, it's gone. So you can also use things like this for mealtime. Maybe you say one night a week, if you don't want to eat what we're making, or if you don't want to eat your vegetables or whatever it is, you can use your veggie pass or whatever. And it gives them the feeling of power, especially with things that are out of your control. You can't force your child to sleep. You can't force your child to eat their vegetables and actually swallow them. You can't force them to go to the bathroom. So if you can create a pass or something like this to get them out of doing those things, or to give them permission to do things that you don't necessarily like, that aren't necessarily disrespectful, like coming out of the room. It gives them power, but also gives them limits, which is really important. And so it gives them a limit. They can only use it once and then it's gone. And so it's a win-win, because you're okay with them coming out once, and they're happy that they get to have some power and control in that situation. So parenting is already hard enough without, you know, throwing in the whole strong-willed child into the mix. But just feel good knowing the more you work on these positive parenting tactics to help your child learn how to deal with their emotions, to learn how to deal with wanting power and to not look for it in negative ways. The more you can do these things, the better your child will be at learning how to self-regulate, to be a respectful person, and ultimately a great citizen later on. And you can feel like you're actually doing something instead of just reacting all the time to their behaviors, which can be exhausting, and you can feel like a failure very quickly. I just want to encourage you guys that if you're watching this video, that in and of itself says that you care and you're trying, and I just want to build you up and say you're doing a good job, even if you feel like a failure. Try out some of these hacks, let me know how they work, and if you have other things that have worked with your kids, leave them in the comments, because we all know we all need as much help as we can get. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you come back next Sunday for another video on strong-willed children, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.